Everybody doing good? Can you give me a thumbs up if you get on mute? Cool.
Doing good.
Good morning.
Hi, Helen. Hey.
Great.
All right, let's get started. Just some quick ground rules. Don't forget, like Patrice said, to please mute yourself. And I'm going to open us up in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time with all of the wonderful married couples of Salem. Thank you so much for allowing me to spend time with my beautiful wife. Please give us the knowledge that you want us to convey to the group, and may you be edified. This is not about the Patricks or about Salem. This is all about you. You get the credit, and people all over the world are going to see how wonderful marriage is. I ask this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we are going to do something something a little fun and interesting today. The title of our section is rebuilding. So to understand rebuilding, we first have to build. Does everybody agree? You can't rebuild until you build. You all buy that? So we are going to we're going to build an airplane. So the first thing that we have to do is come up with a concept. What type of plane? Where are we going? How fast, how high are we going to go? We have to come up with schematics like the one you see here. This is just a heating and cooling schematic, one of the many that we have to develop in order to come up with an airplane. An airplane has 600, a 737 specifically has 600,000 parts from hundreds, even thousands of different vendors. So if you are a Boeing or an Airbus or a Gulfstream, you have to source the parts. They don't just build the airplane from scratch. They outsource parts. They outsource the engines to General Electric and so on and so forth. And then it takes 5,500 hours to build it. There's a lot that goes into it: vendor contracts, planning, parts procurement, flight tests. That's a big one. So after you have come up with your concept airplane, you want to make sure that you're flying something that's safe. So you want to do a flight test. Then you go up and the flight test guys might tell you, hey, you know, that we didn't like the way the plane turned left and we need a little bit more weight on this side. So then you have to go back and you start all over from the drawing board, possibly. When you go through all that, then the FAA has to certify the airplane. So you've built it, but now it has to be certified, which is a whole nother lengthy process in itself. So FAA has certified it. We are now issued an airworthiness certificate. Now we have to start building it. So we have an assembly line. We have to hire workers. We put a whole lot of time into fabricating parts and assembling parts and measuring things. And fast forward a lot of time into the future, and we have a beautiful, nice, shiny, new 737. Now, my question to you is, are we finished? The plane is built, and you can unmute yourselves or type in the chat. Are we finished? The plane is built. Is it done? Are we done?
Did we test it yet?
We have. Yep, we've tested it. We sold it. Delta bought it, or Southwest bought it. So is Southwest, are they done? Are we done with they just fly now forever?
Well, I think that the plane has been built and constructed for a purpose. And if you don't take the next step of putting it in a position so that it can be purposed, then it'll just sit there. So I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but it needs to become part of the fleet so that it can start receiving travel destinations. And then at that point, you can start, passengers can start boarding the flight.
Okay, that's exactly where I was headed, Brenda. Yes, that's correct. No, we're not finished. We haven't even painted it yet. It's still painted in the Boeing colors and not the Southwest colors or the Delta colors. It may not have seats in it. So no, we are not finished.
And then in the chat, I just want to, the McLean said, no, we're not finished. There's still maintenance. The Davises said, no, it seems like there's something else to it.
Okay, that's correct. We're not finished, even though the plane is built, and it's the same. The same is true with your car, with your marriage. Just because you're designed and built and everything's working fine, there's still maintenance that you have to do to keep this airplane flying. Okay, unless you want this to happen, right? So one mistake could lead to something disastrous. And the same thing is true for your marriage. You've put all this time and energy into building your marriage, and one little thing could screw it all up. And we are trying to prevent that from happening with the lesson that we're teaching today. Now on to rebuild. So just some FYI, if there's ever an aircraft accident, the investigators from the FAA go out and they find every single piece of the airplane that they can in order to rebuild it. Now, this is an extremely important step. And can anyone tell me why they think this would be important to rebuild a plane that's already crashed?
There's clues.
Yeah, gives them insight on what may have happened.
Yes, Alicia, that's exactly right. The investigators want to rebuild the airplane to find out exactly what happened. Why is there a big gaping hole in the side? Well, maybe there was a bomb there, or maybe a bolt broke open and caused the skin to open. Mr. Gilmore, did you have a comment also?
I was saying that in rebuilding it or bringing the pieces back together, there's clues into. They're looking for clues as to what could have caused it to crash.
Yep. That's exactly it. That is exactly what the investigators are trying to do, and it does look. To the untrained eye, it would look a little strange to see a bunch of people with literally Ziploc bags picking up with tweezers pieces of the airplane, but those might hold a clue to what's going on.
And in the chat, the Whitfield said, so we can figure out what was the cause of the problem. The Davises to find the malfunctioning problem. Takesha said to prevent future problems, and the McLean's cause and effect analysis.
Also, when they rebuild it, there's some valuable parts there. Everything may not be valuable. There'll be some valuable pieces that we can reuse again or that are still usable.
Correct. Yes. So thank you all for all those comments. Those were all excellent. Everybody went exactly in the direction that I wanted, so that's great.
LaShawn also said to find weak and vulnerable spots.
Oh, that's good.
Really good.
Who said that?
LaShawn Swift.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Swift. Yeah, exactly. So if that part is weak and vulnerable, we can make it better the next time. So we're going to transfer what we just learned about airplanes over to marriage, because I'm sure this is, you all don't want to just build a plane. We want to build stronger marriages. We can build a plane too later. But we want to give you some tools today to help you rebuild. And one of the ones that we were talking about in Dr. Evans' book was using words. Your words, the things that you say to your spouse, have power. And I'm sure everybody, and this was mentioned in the book as well, it was said that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true at all. Words can hurt you. They will hurt you. They will affect you. Can you think of an example? Can anyone give me an example of how words have power and or how words can hurt you?
Okay. Yeah. You can use words a lot of times, for example, to encourage someone by what you say, or you can use words to discourage. So when you're trying to encourage your spouse, maybe in something that she's doing or wants to do, if you use encouraging words, that'll lift her up and inspire. But you can also use those different words to demotivate and things like that.
Thank you, Ray. That is true. What did you see?
The Hale said, bring life or death. So words can bring life or death. And that's so true. Sometimes we know we can say things and, fight dirty. You say something and you know that it will hurt your spouse, that will end the argument, that will just shut them down. But oftentimes in marriage, it's not infidelity. It's not physical abuse. It's the act of our communication, the way we speak to each other. The words that we use can cause more harm sometimes than any of those things. And the words that we say have a lasting effect on our spouse or on those people that we speak to. And in the chapter, that pretty much the section that we're covering, the objective was to use your words to build your spouse, not to break them down.
Have you all heard the saying, keep the fights clean and the sex dirty? Keep the fights clean and the sex dirty.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I think what my husband is saying. So you want to fight fair.
They know what I'm
not
saying.
Fight
They
fair,
know what I'm
but
saying.
you should be able to have a discussion with your spouse where in a way that it is enriching your marriage. Things won't always be perfect. Things won't always be great. You'll have to have those tough conversations. There will be times where you have to provide some constructive criticism, or you may need to talk about a tough issue. We're not saying just only say nice things, but there's a way in which you can have those conversations and still speak love to your spouse.
Okay. Any questions or comments there? Okay.
Hey guys, I love the prayer that they actually put in the book. I thought it was really neat. It just said, "Dear Father, help me to always use my words to build up my mate so that he or she can fully live out the destiny you have chosen for him or her. Help me to focus on his or her strengths and overlook or lovingly correct the weak areas so that what I have to say produces life and not death." I thought that was strong and powerful. Short, but strong and powerful.
Yes, and we do talk about that later on, Helen, about praying for your spouse and some other communication things that we're going to do. But thank you for sharing.
Yes, I think that prayer is great because it reminds us of what the chapter is about, speaking life into our partner. So I like that prayer, and I think that's something that I need to. I think we both need to, but I'm gonna speak for myself. A prayer that I need to say each morning or each night for myself. So thank you for sharing that, Helen. We sometimes people are question the Bible. You shouldn't, but in the research, I found some things that the Bible to me is a roadmap for life. God has set out a plan in this book of how we should treat others and how we should conduct ourselves throughout our lives. And there's science to back up that roadmap. So there's been studies out there where scientists have studied the impact of negative words on individuals. One that I saw, they displayed a group of negative words and images and examined how the brain reacted to those visuals. And then they displayed positive images and positive words to the participants and studied how their brain reacted. So when the participants saw words or images that were negative, the brain released stress and anxiety hormones. And it was said that those hormones, over time, hearing those or seeing those images after time, can cause long-term stress and anxiety that could have negative effects on people's way they perceive the world or the way they perceive themselves. So a spouse that hears negative words spoken to them on a daily basis, you're tearing your spouse down, you're not building them up. And that is causing them to see themselves maybe not in such a good, have a good self-image of themselves. So remember, our words do have power, even with our children and other family members. The things that we say can have lasting effects on their lives.
Imagine if you were at the doctor and they give you a diagnosis of, yes, you have stage whatever, versus you have a clean bill of health and you're going to live to 120. I mean, those are two completely different things, and those words are very powerful and they would have an effect on you. Everybody agree? I can't remember who brought up this verse, Proverbs 18:21, life and death are in the power of the tongue. But it's extremely important. And I don't know why people do this. It cracks me up. You're married. I mean, I'm sitting here next to this beautiful angel, and to say hurtful things to her, I can't understand why people would do that. You go to work every day and you get beat up at work, and you got to get on the bus and get on the train and come home and not feel safe and loved and admired and wanted in your own house. I can't for the life of me. We've been married 21 years, woohoo! And in all those years, I've never called her anything other than beautiful or Sharon. If I'm really mad, I'll call her like Sharon Blakemore Patrick. That's how she knows she really messed up. But other than that, I mean, I hear people cussing their spouse out and saying, I don't know where that comes from, but
Keziah and Curvin and put in the chat, sometimes it's the words you don't say. It could be your body language.
Oh yeah,
so
that's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a real good
one. So those
one.
unspoken words can have negative effects on your spouse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. You know how y'all do sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like no words were said except for mm-hmm. And now.
Or even ignoring your spouse and not speaking is just as bad as when we actually have a video that shows that not speaking or negative body language is just as hurtful as words.
But you know what? I think sometimes when you're not speaking, you don't speak because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You know, you don't want to come off as being mean and hurtful, you know. So for me, you know, not speaking is I'm trying to control my tongue. You know, it's not necessarily I'm just trying to be mean because I'm not speaking to him. I'm not saying something at this moment because I'm trying to control my tongue, and I don't want it to come out as being hurtful. You know, then I have to gather my thoughts and then make sure that what I say is going to be something that's loving. So not speaking to me sometimes it could be a good thing. You know, it
So-
depends on the situation also. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and that's the hard part, right? That's the mastery of communication takes years. I mean, you have to learn how to speak Ray Whitfield, and there's no thesaurus, there's no dictionary, there's no Google Translate. You just got to learn how to speak Ray Whitfield, and it just takes years because there's no tutoring you can get. Don't nobody know how to speak it except for him, and it's that delicate balance, right? Like, how do you, if you don't say anything, then he might get upset. Well, why ain't you saying nothing? Then you say something, now it's the wrong thing. But, you know, I don't know, after you're married, about a good friend of mine told me the first 50 years of marriage is the hardest.
The first 50.
So I'm gonna go and see if I can get this. So how do I do this,
Just
Mama?
click the video.
Just click this.
Mhm.
But now they can't, you all can't see it
Oh,
yet,
no,
right?
you're
Can you
right.
see it?
You gotta share that screen.
Okay, wait a second.
Okay, stop sharing.
Okay, stop sharing. Hold on, rewind. I fired the director. Who's the
Just
director?
stop share.
No, resume share. I
I
wanna.
don't think they can see.
Okay,
Here.
give me a thumbs up if you can see this, Mrs.
No, they
Whitfield.
cannot.
You
We
cannot.
see YouTube website.
Okay,
Stop
okay,
sharing. Now share again.
okay. And now go. Here? Oh. Okay. And,
It's not showing for some reason.
oh wait, maybe blow it up?
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
there it is.
Oh, you gotta share your sound.
Pause it.
Technical difficulties.
We're gonna get us a new movie director, don't worry.
It was playing at one time.
We're good at them.
Hear the sound, I don't think. Put in your password.
Because you all couldn't hear the sound?
We
We
heard
heard the
it.
sound.
We seen it and heard it, and you cut it off.
No, Sharon cut it off.
Hey.
Okay, there we go. We
Oh,
see no words. I mean, no sound.
No
So,
sound.
It's not playing yet. A little intro to this video. We found a study where a doctor he used water and water crystals to demonstrate the power of words. So he collected different types of water, and looked at the crystals that were formed after speaking positive and negative words. So he spoke positive words to some, negative words to others, and then in the third group, he didn't say anything. He ignored the crystals. And people have done this with rice. We didn't have time to try it at home, but they've done it with rice. It's called the rice experiment. But Dr. Yamoto did it with water. And so this is a short video that demonstrates his findings.
Okay. Are we back and everybody can hear us now?
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
They say when you get a new car,
Is it-
you see it everywhere.
How?
Okay.
But when I was matching my truck on cars,
Okay. Yeah, new director. Okay. And then I want to do screen share again. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. So yeah, that was just a video that was highlighting the power of your words. I mean, your words are powerful. Everybody, I'm sure, can finish this sentence. Your mommy told you this a long time ago. If you don't have something nice to say,
Right, I can read lips.
Everybody's nodding their head. Okay, right.
Don't say anything at all.
There you go. That is so important. Mommy was right. Okay. Is this the one? Yes. And back. Okay. Go ahead.
So in the chapter, he talks about using wisdom in your words. Found a scripture that highlights this. Proverbs 25:11, words spoken at the right time are like gold apples in a silver setting. So sometimes you are going to have to say something that's not easy to say in your marriage. You're going to have to talk about an issue or a concern. But when we do that, we want to make sure that we're speaking in the book. It uses the verse, speak love and truth. Speak truth and love. I'm sorry. And when we do that, we want to be able to, yes, we're having this conversation. There's something that's concerning you with your spouse, but you want to say it in a loving way, a way that the person can accept it and not have to be on the defense, feel like they're being attacked. So we wanted to reach out to the audience or to the group and ask, what are some ways you can, what are some ways that you, strategies or ways that you bring up tough conversations, or when you have to bring up something that's bothering you with their spouse? What are some ways that you approach that conversation?
Let me say this. Thomas will say to me sometimes, "Is that what you're wearing?" Is that what you're wearing? And I know what that means. And I don't know to a man what's a better way to say other than, I guess I'm gonna answer for him. How about putting on that yellow dress? I really like that a lot. Or that's one of my favorites. But I know is because he says, "Is that what you're wearing?" And so it's, though we think we're trying to be nice in what we say, we're still not. There's still a better way to use you have wisdom in your words.
So what should Thomas say?
She just said
She said,
she just said it.
oh,
You know what? You know what he should say? If I chose a dress, you look nice in that dress. Or, okay, let's go.
Okay.
Unless there's a big blot on it or something like that, it could be just the styling of it that he doesn't care for. I mean, I'm never out of character for the most part, but he didn't think I should have that on, whatever. I do trust his with judgment most of the time with my clothing, but he probably should say, you know what, I like it. Can you put the yellow dress on, the red dress? Those are really my favorite, or it would highlight what I'm wearing today. Like I got something yellow on today, or let me change my yellow tie so you put your yellow dress, so something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Ray would say to me, he would say, "I love you, but we still need to talk about this."
But in saying that, he's bringing down your anxiety as well. I mean, that putting out there, "I love you," it kind of, now you're not okay.
Or does he? Or does that bring you? Or is what Sharon just
yeah.
said? Or do you know that you got a bomb that's about to hit you when he says that?
When he says that, I know it's okay, but it's important that we talk about the issue.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I know that it's okay. It's not something that he's not going to forgive me over. He's going to forgive me over everything. Likewise, but
That's right.
Yep.
A lot of times you have to reassure your mate that everything is okay and will be okay, but we still have to do certain things and talk about things and fix certain things. And so in doing that, they have to feel safe at the same time.
Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Because it's important that we don't spend up all the money. And even though I love you, I don't want to come home and the lights not be on. So,
Right.
I mean, so some of these discussions have to be had, but I don't think it would be beneficial if I came home and just, well, why, I can't believe you didn't spend up all the bleep bleep money. I mean, that probably wouldn't go over very well. So, yeah, it's just the way in which you say things.
So in the chat, there's a couple of some good comments. Start off by saying, can I run something by you for a second? Again, that kind of helps bring that anxiety down. Bring it up during a calm and relaxed moment, not in the, not when you're already upset.
Right.
Reassure your spouse before and during and at the end of difficult conversations. So those are some good points that were in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the Bible, and this was in the book too, the Bible says our conversation should be seasoned with salt. We want to make them so that, we use salt to make our food taste better. So our conversation should make our marriage better. Even the positive conversations, or when we have to bring up something that's negative or not so positive.
Yeah. I really like that one. Who said that one? The Swifts about
And
the timing
Patrick's.
of it. Pardon me?
This is Linda Love. It's not only what you say, it's where you say it at. As me and Jerry always say, we are not going to be a reality show for other people. So we always say it in a private way or at our home or something. We don't let everybody know our business. We are not the reality show.
Linda, so Sharon does the same thing. I know now, if we're at dinner, because y'all know I'm special, right? I'm crazy. I talk all the time, right? So if I say the wrong thing, Sharon doesn't say, shut up, don't say that in the presence of other people. She'll just tap me. You won't even know that it's happening. She'll just tap my leg under the table. And I'd be like, uh-oh. So I know after, because I'm learning, I haven't learned it yet. I'm learning how to speak Sharon. So I know that I need to zip it because I've said something or I've offended. I mean, I don't even ask anymore. If she taps my leg under the table, I don't look at her and, well, what you tapping my leg for? I know just to shut up, and she'll tell me later how I messed up. So
I've had to kick coworkers under the table in meetings to get them to be quiet. Like the tap didn't work. So
well, she hasn't kicked me yet, so no. I guess I'm doing good.
Donna says start out with a compliment. Yes, that's good. Again, start out with I like all of the comments where you're bringing down, everyone's bringing down that anxiety level too, because when we have to have negative conversations, the receivers sometimes we just want to be defensive. We think we did something wrong, but it's not always that we did something wrong. This is just a conversation that you have to have. Present it as if you'd want to it presented to you. So good point. Say it the way you want to be talk to your spouse the way you would like to be talked to. Yeah, Linda, I like the reality show example.
Somebody said I'm not gonna be sitting at dinner with Sharon.
Well, just don't say anything. I'm just gonna tap. I don't kick unless you don't receive the tap.
I've been sitting at dinner with her for 20-some years.
So okay. Patrice had a couple. We're gonna do throw out some examples of what not to say and ask you. Patrice kind of opened it up for us. She used one of our examples in Are You Wearing That? Because I thought that's something that I think as men and women say that to each other sometimes. Sometimes I'll put on a dress and I might have a love handle showing or two, and Roy will say he'll say that dress doesn't look right. No. I know what he means, and I've learned not to take offense to it. But sometimes we can't say. I like what Patrice said. I like the yellow or the red dress. I really like those, and I think it complements me better. that may not be what you're really saying, but do you want your spouse to change out of what they're wearing, or do you want them to be upset? So,
but it's also the timing of it. Like let's say we have to be there in 15 minutes, and it's like, okay, well, we have to go. I can maybe apologize later for the swift response, but we got to go. I mean, they're waiting on us at the meeting or something like that. Would that be fair to circle back around in that manner? If I say, look, that is, because I do remember saying that. You didn't make that up. I did say that, but we were, as I recall, we were in a rush. So is that fair to come back and, like, I'm sorry.
let's ask the audience.
Yeah, is that how bad did I mess up, you guys? So that this was the real. We didn't plan this, but I did say that. I was like, that doesn't look right. Change it because we have to go. Because we were.
Fix it on the car ride to the place. So fix it on the car ride. Say, hey, babe, well, wasn't trying to, say anything about your dress, but I just thought that, maybe you can change the wear this one and then compliment her. Turn around behind that and compliment her.
Okay.
If you're running on a tight schedule and you all have to leave right now, you know what? Just keep it to yourself, because that's starting off the evening on a bad note, and the whole rest of the night, your spouse is going to be conscientious about what they have on. And I mean, if you got the time thing, let's just go. Just keep it.
Okay, so
you just gotta keep.
I'm gonna need you and Alicia you text me your numbers. I'm gonna get y'all on speed dial. So next time that happens, I don't say nothing stupid.
Don't say nothing.
But maybe the other side of that also is maybe sometimes when we do that, because you know who we are and we mean well, maybe you can kind of not be so sensitive about it, because when we do get back later, we're gonna fix what's broken,
I don't think she bought that. Good thing she's on mute.
You're muted.
Good thing on purpose.
I kind of agree with LaShawn. I mean, one of the things we have to learn is everything is not a hill to die on. Everything that irritates us is not something that needs to be addressed at good, bad, or indifferent. If I'm irritated with Dre, probably the best thing for me to do is not say anything at all that day or during that part of the day while I'm feeling a little irritated. And I would say about 70 to 80% of the times, whatever it was that was irritating me is not even worth the issue the next day. So rather than putting myself in a mode where I feel like I have to correct all his behavior, which I'm going to tell you, for my husband, translate into nagging, I'm going to pick and choose my battles, but everything, like if you got 15 minutes to be someplace and you don't particularly like the dress I have on, you probably need to just hold on to that right then and there. And then if the next day comes around and that dress is still bothering you, well, bring it up and talk about it. Tell her, it's not one of my favorite dresses, but I tell you what, I'll go buy you a new one. You want to go shopping? I mean, but then the next day, the dress might not even be an issue for you. So you don't have to bring it up at all. That's just my thoughts.
And that's part of I'm sure not just me, but all of us as married people, part of our training, right, is to learn when and where and how to say certain things, because I actually lucked out. Sharon actually is beautiful. So it really doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. And I probably just not have said anything at all. And I would have, like you said, I would have forgotten about it once we got in the car, because now I'm sitting in traffic. So what difference did it make? So yeah, that's part of the.
Now, we're not saying, I mean, everyone had valid points. Now, I think that if your spouse is going to walk out the house looking like a clown,
Then it's okay to speak up?
Yeah, that's the,
Okay.
I'm with Ray, stop being so sensitive. Don't have me out there looking crazy,
Right.
but.
Okay.
But not only that though, so Ray, and you say you don't like the dress. Okay, so now you have to change the dress and you're gonna be super late because more than just changing the dress, because you got to change the accessories, you got to change the shoes. You may need to redo the hair a different way. It takes more than that than just changing a dress.
Oh, so I need Barbara on speed dial. I need all y'all on speed dial. Okay.
So the Hales put a good scripture in the chat, Ephesians 4:26, but don't let the passion of your emotions lead you to sin. Don't let the sun go down while you're still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil. So yeah,
Yeah, we
good
don't.
point.
Yeah, don't go to bed mad.
Don't go to bed mad. But I do like what Brenda said, that if it's not bothering you tomorrow, then it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, so
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I'm going back. The Charles said, don't say the dress doesn't look right. Say, how about this dress? I love this one. And I think when you say it that way, you can't really argue with or even with your husband might put on something you don't like. So you might say, I like this suit better. When you say that, is that something, it's hard to argue with that. It's hard for me to argue with that. My husband likes me to look, he likes the way I look in this dress better than in that dress. It's really hard for me to argue with that. Like Barbara said, now we're going to be 30 minutes late because I got to go redo everything. But you know, it's not something that I could argue. I don't think I could really argue with that.
Barbara on speed dial. All right. Was there any other comment? Let's see. That's it. Okay. What? Experiment.
Okay, so here's another one we wanted to try with you guys. So you said this is something.
Okay, so now, so you tell me if you think I've just said anything wrong. Okay, so did Roy say anything wrong? Okay.
And if he did say something wrong, so how could he have said it better, or did he even have to say it at all?
Okay. So are you gonna go and get another plate of food? I mean, didn't you have enough the first time? Did I just say anything wrong?
Totally, Ray.
Yes.
Totally, Roy. Absolutely nothing. That one should have personally been kept to yourself.
But why? Okay, so why?
There's a way to say anything, and that I don't think that was appropriate at all. And you could have said, you know, oh, so I see you enjoy the food, you know, or something. But that, to me, that comes across as offensive, and especially if your mate may have a weight problem. Just say your mate has a weight problem, and then you say something like that. We want to speak words that bring life. We want to speak words that encourage. We want to be there. We want them to feel good about themselves. So, and guess what? You can store some points up in the bank for later, Roy, when you say the right stuff.
Okay, gotcha. So now that's actually I think Van covered that in romance. Like romance, it starts, and intimacy starts way before, like in the brain. It's not in the bedroom, it starts in the brain. So when you say stuff like that scenario just pointed out, you're not setting yourself up for success later on. So thanks, Helen. Anybody else have a comment on, are you about to read me a chat thing?
No, I
Roy, you didn't say nothing wrong, man. You ain't say nothing wrong.
Mr. Gilmore, okay, all right.
Hey, me and my wife over here arguing right now.
And yes, you did say everything wrong.
So Mrs. Gilmore says I said everything wrong.
Yes.
No, you didn't. Let me go first.
Go
Okay,
first. You go first. Go ahead.
okay, so Mr. Gilmore, you go first. Let me hear Mr. Gilmore first.
They'll always say there's a way you could have said it. That's another way of saying you shouldn't have said it at all. Because what you said, what nicer way?
Joe, so we're hearing really bad feedback because you and your wife, I think, are both. So somebody needs to mute or something. Okay, there we go. Okay, try it again.
She leaving.
There we go. Oh, you threw her out, man.
Man, we got to get this out right.
Back in the room. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I feel that that's their way of saying you shouldn't have said it at all. To me, it's the same example of trying to say, hey, why don't you take a mint? Or have you eaten something today? How many nice ways can you say your breath stink? I mean, if you need to say it, and the whole idea is it's a concern for you, it being too sensitive for you means I'll just never say nothing and be bothered by what you're doing to begin with. So at some point, you need to trust your mate enough that whatever they're saying to you is for y'all. It ain't just a statement of criticism or attack.
Okay. That's a very, very valid point. Mrs. Gilmore, did you have something to say, or are you just mad now?
No, I'm not mad. Let me say this. There's a way to say everything. You might as well have just said you a pig, you eat too much. Joseph and I have conversations about weight all the time, so that's why it's such a topic in our household. The way to me that could have been said, first of all, at that particular time, I feel like you didn't have to say anything. If the weight is an issue for you, it's definitely probably one for her. So why not go a roundabout way somehow in another moment and express about healthy eating, or babe, let's go to the gym, or baby, I found a cookbook. Let's start cooking some of these types of meals, blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever understanding that you have with your wife or your mate when it comes to something like that. You don't have to be that abrupt because it's a sensitive subject probably for you and her.
Okay.
So I just feel like you could find another way to address it if need be. But those words to me were very harsh. And yes, it's hard to hear. Most people don't want to hear the truth, male or female. But in a marriage, to me, you do have to have some sort of pullback and be specific and strategic in how you express things to your mate.
So and that, I don't know, and some of the husbands might agree with me on this. Sometimes we guys, we need to hear it the harsh way. Like
absolutely.
Absolutely. Like my personal example is I love salt, or I used to just put salt on everything. I would get the salt shaker and I would get a little thing and open up the holes to make them bigger, to shake more salt, because I couldn't get enough salt on food. And Sharon and my daughter would tell me, but Dad, there's already salt on it. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it's not enough. And Sharon would say, well, yes, it is. I heard that it's too much salt for her. What she was really saying is, you're going to die if you keep eating all of that salt, because it causes high blood pressure. So it wasn't until I got to the doctor's office and my blood pressure was slightly high, and he said his exact, my FAA doctor, don't use the exact words. Okay. My FAA doctor told me, Roy, if your blood pressure is slightly high, you're African-American male over 35, whatever. And I was like, I still didn't get it. He said, look, let me tell you this. If you have a stroke, you better hope you effing die. That's what my doctor told me. That I heard. I don't put salt on anything anymore, because he painted it in a way where I could absorb it. He didn't say it in a loving way, in a caring way. He said it in a way that I needed to hear it. And my feelings weren't hurt. I just don't eat salt anymore. That's the whole purpose. So.
But he said it in a way that you would receive it, because he realized the way he said it the first time didn't work. So if you want me to receive something, or most of the people in the chat said that that was too harsh, or too judgmental. So for most of us that were in the chat agreeing that was too harsh, you have to say it in a way that I can accept it and I can hear it. And that was in the chapter as well. It has to be palatable.
So wives, I guess this will be more directed towards the wives. So if that scenario were real and I said, okay, so are you gonna really eat that other plate of food? You would not hear it the right way. You would not hear that's too much food, or what would you hear, I guess would be the question. I'm just curious.
Roy, this is Linda Love again. It depends on the person and y'all relationship. Everyone can't take everything. Like, I have 3 brothers and I'm the only girl, and my father used to say, I cannot talk to Linda the way I talk to the boys. So you can't talk to the same person the same way all the time. You have to talk their language. So some people would take that and walk away and wouldn't think no more of it, when some people would get hurt.
Okay. So that
You
goes
have
back
to know your spouse.
Let me say this with Tanisha. You already, let's say go your conversation with Sharon Roy. You already may know that's a touchy subject with Sharon. Just say there's some wisdom there, because this is wisdom in words, what you have on the screen. And sometimes our wisdom is don't say nothing. Sometimes my wisdom could be just to pray. I already know God is a touchy subject. I don't know if she's gonna receive it well. God, you show her. God may send an angel, somebody else to say to Sharon, well, she will receive it, or truth and love, same concept. She may receive it, and it could be her girlfriend, like, girl, I gotta watch my carbs. And she may receive it better than from somebody else. And so sometimes, Roy, to a husband, you don't have to say everything. And to a wife, sometimes, if it's a difficult conversation, sometimes being quiet and just praying to husbands and wives and just watching God show that person, God, I know I'm gonna say something, I'm probably gonna mess it up. Show her what my heart is, not what my mouth is, but where my heart is, because it all depends on where your heart is. If your heart is real, God will use another way to show Sharon or whoever you're trying to get that difficult message across to. Sometimes it doesn't have to come out of your mouth.
Okay.
Exactly. Because it seems like to me, if you would say something like that, obviously some things are just obvious. It's obvious that I'm going to eat this other plate of food, or I intend to eat this other plate of food. And if we're we're out somewhere, and for that to even come up, that's like a dig. That's just like your defense mechanism is automatically gonna come up, and I probably would say something like, yeah, I'm gonna eat this, and I'm gonna go get your chunky self a piece of cake so that you can eat some too. You know what I mean? Because some things, they don't have to be said, especially if it's touchy, because at the end of the day, what is your intention?
Okay. All right. Thank you. We got behind, man. We okay. Oops. Why? See, why'd you touch that?
Go back.
How do you? I don't know how to do it now. Escape. There we go. Boom. Okay. So this is a little an acronym that we came up with.
Well, we didn't come up with. We
found to help you in your effective communication. So think before you speak. So is it true? Is it helpful? Is it important? Is it necessary? I don't know. My favorite one, the most important is it kind? I personally try not to say anything to Sharon that I would not say if God was sitting right next to me. That's the way I do it. So that's the goal anyway. I mean, we all fall short, but that's the goal. Season with salt. Now, this is funny that it says salt, because salt is causes high blood pressure. But what Dr. Evans is trying to say is season maybe with whatever it is you use to season to make your food taste better. You want to season your words before you transfer them over to your spouse. Use seasonings that make it more tasty for your spouse, right? I mean, chicken with a little Lowry's is much better than just plain boiled chicken, right? I mean, it's still chicken at the end of the day, but you want to enjoy what it is you're eating, and you want your spouse to enjoy and or absorb what it is that you're saying. First Thessalonians 5:11, therefore encourage one another and build each other up. If you, as you look at these pictures, you know, I just don't, you see the first lady holding on to the president's hand, and you know, they might get back to the White House later. Is it helpful for the president to come home and first lady? I'm saying first lady like they're still the president.
They are.
They are still the president. That's my president. Would it really be helpful to the president to say, well, oh, so you didn't, you know, so you're not going to pick up the rotisserie? Well, fine, I just go get it myself. Fine, and just, I mean, well, I was at the press conference all day. I'm sorry, you know, maybe there's a better way that Michelle could say something to the president. Anything?
So the ultimate goal of our marriage and in communicating within our marriage is to build it up, to rebuilding we can still rebuild. If we said some harsh things, if we've done some things that have hurt our spouses, there's still time to rebuild, to bring back that trust, that love that we had in the beginning. And that's what we got from this chapter. You got one more slide. So my creative husband came up with this acrostic poem.
I didn't even know what an acrostic poem was, but she told me that that's what I did. So, so the acronym is BUILD, and the B is be mindful of your words. So it's like I think we've beat this up pretty good today. Be very careful what it is that you say and how it is that you say it.
Uplift one another. So even in those times where we have to have those tough conversations and talk about things that aren't always so pleasant, we use that time to uplift one another, not to break each other down. And remember, is it really necessary to say this? Is this something that you that needs to be said, or is it something that maybe, as Brenda said, the next day it's not bothering you? So it probably wasn't that big of an issue. So think before you speak.
Inspire each other. It would be very, very beneficial to me if my wife says things that inspire me and help me, as opposed to negativity. I like coming home to a pleasant house and enjoy being at home with my spouse and have her inspire me.
And love on your spouse. I think oftentimes we go throughout our day, especially when we've been married for a long time, and we forget to compliment each other. We forget to compliment our spouse on the way they look, or compliment each other. You know, whoever cooked made a dinner. This is really good. I like this new recipe you tried. Or just everyday compliments. I think we should try to compliment our spouse every day. And this is irrespective of I know about the 5 love languages and words of affirmation. This is just in general, just as you go throughout the day, just to call. Sometimes I am on the road all the time for my job, but I talk to Sharon like every single day. And I'll find a picture from like a week ago or a year ago, and I'm just thinking of you. You're beautiful. I sure did luck out. You're gorgeous, and I can't wait to come home. So I think that is important. And the last one is devote time to pray. I know we're all busy and we have busy schedules. You have time for your boss. You got time to go to the gym. You got time for everything else in the world. You can make time to devote to pray with your spouse. And pray without your spouse. Again, going back to the prayer that was in the chapter, pray for your understanding, pray for that you choose the right words. And as Patrice said, if there is something that you know you aren't going to be able to express in the right way that your spouse can accept and receive, ask God to take control of that situation and I don't want to say fix it, but you know, do the work that you aren't able to do, in your words.
I mean, and that's really important, I think, because like if this is the goal, this is just my goal. I mean, again, I don't, it's not all the time. Sometimes I fall short, but if Sharon, I'm talking me specifically, if she does something wrong, I look at it as not she did something wrong. I look at it as I did something wrong. So what could I do better or differently to change her behavior? She didn't do anything wrong. She just did it different than me. So how can I, and that's for another lesson, but that just kind of was a side thing. Okay, go. How much time do we have, Patrice? Let me see. Oh my God, we're running late. Okay, let me see where we at. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Patrick's
That's our lesson for
out
today.
I'm sorry. Hello, this is Mrs. Davis, and I really appreciate this class. Me and Willie, we were sitting here talking and listening. Some of this stuff really hit home with us, especially, you know, how we got to make sure we talk to each other in the right way, building each other up. And the thing that I do enjoy the most with my husband, every day, he sends me a text message. Hey, beautiful, how you doing today? He could be at work. He could be working a 12-hour shift or something, but he always finds time to text me and send me some kind of beautiful, loving text. And that does keep the fire burning, I'm gonna tell you. So yeah, words are really powerful. They really are.
Good. I'm glad that God was able to speak to you in your marriage. That's what all this is about. So I'm so happy that you guys are pointed in the right direction. Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Well, listen, let's thank Roy and Sharon for a phenomenal class today.